Do we open the country back up? Do we keep ourselves on lockdown? How long do we stay on lockdown? I mean, do we have a clear objective? Do we have a clear date? Do we have a clear thing where we can say, yes, we have triumphed? We can go back to normal. I'm asking, does anybody have any ideas? Should we remain locked down? I mean, leave in the comments below. I'll read them. Do we want to be locked down for months, weeks? Should we be locked down indefinitely? Should we open up, tomorrow? I mean, give me your ideas. What do you think? Because, I mean, really, the information is conflicting depending on where you look. And, I think a lot of personal opinions have to do with life experiences on whether people know somebody who's been affected by it or not. And people who know somebody who's been affected by it or have been affected by it, to them it's a big deal. To everybody else, it kind of isn't. And then economically, I mean, Jesus, how much more can we take? How much longer can we go? Do we have to go much longer? I don't know. What's the answer? Trump says we should open it up. Everybody else says we're 11 days away from a peak. How do they know we're 11 days away from a peak? How do you know this? Nobody's been able to answer that. How is it that the scientists can come out and say, well, we're 11 days away from a peak? How do we know the peak isn't 20 days away, 30 days away, 40 days away? How do we know the peak isn't tomorrow or in an hour from now? How do they know for a fact that the peak is 11 days away? That doesn't make sense to me either. Why are they saying it's 11 days away? What makes them say that? President Donald Trump pushed to reopen the country Saturday, despite warning Americans it's not going to be a good-looking situation, and it's not. And he does say prepare for a dire situation, then he says it's going to open up the country, so yeah, it's a little bit conflicting there, man. As the number of deaths approach their peak in the coming days while talking at a briefing with the White House Big C task force. The president also responded to questions about a tweet that suggested creating another White House Big C task force that would focus on the economy and reopening the country. He said that is something he is thinking about. And I don't know, maybe we reopen parts and then see what happens, but then what do you do with the parts that aren't open that are being economically impacted? Do we slowly start weaning parts off of the United States? I mean, I've heard suggestions that we go into District 9 mode and go into developing districts, and each district is on lockdown for a certain period of time. And I'm like, wow, people are actually thinking that way. Yes, people are actually thinking that way. I just hope everybody realizes that the further down this road means there's a further trip back. I started by saying that, and I continue to say it. The cure cannot be worse than the problem itself. We've got to get our country open, Trump said. Not exactly true. The cure could possibly be worse than the problem itself. It'd be like back in the day when someone had a certain illness and they cured the illness by killing the patient. Cured the disease. The president discussed a Saturday morning call he had with commissioners of the most major sports to discuss the effects of coronavirus, damn it, I said the word, to the industry, emphasizing that he wants fans back in the arena as soon as they can be. I understand we all want to be back to normal as soon as we can be, but is it safe? I mean, are we just shooting ourselves in the foot? Are we cutting off our nose to spite our face? Are we trying to split a frog hair 3 ways? What are we doing? You know they want to see basketball and baseball and football and hockey. They want to see their sports. Of course they want to. Of course, everybody does. I want to not pay taxes. Can you make that happen? I want a mansion on the moon. Can you make that happen? They want to go out onto the golf courses and breathe nice, clean, beautiful, fresh air, Trump said. No, I can't tell you a date, but I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. I wouldn't push too hard, Trump. I really wouldn't. I got so much conflicting information, and some of it from the same sides is conflicting, So do we lock down, or do we open up for business? What do we do? Obviously we have two minds. Our safety and our freedoms. And our ability to make money to get food, and pay for shelter, and pay for things. So what do we do? No perfect answer, and there never is. And every solution has its own set of problems. So what do we do? He said that sports aren't designed for closures, which he said is also true of the country, emphasizing that he wants citizens to get back to work. The citizens want to get back to work too, but the citizens also want to be able to survive. I know personally some individuals who were at work and they wanted to go on quarantine with their family, and they put in a couple days, and their boss really, really wants them to get back to work, but they said, no, I am not going to work. It's too dangerous. I have younglings. And you can't blame them. What are you going to do? It has got to get open. This country was not designed to be closed. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But we have to adapt, I guess. We're adapting right now, aren't we? Trump said, think of it. We're paying people not to go to work. How about that? How does that play? Not very well. In the long run, not very well at all. Trump has responded to a tweet by George W. Bush's former White House press secretary, Dana Perino, earlier in the day, saying that he agreed with the idea of another task force examining how the country's economy can reopen and get back on track. Possibly. Yes. Let's figure it out, see if we can come up with a game plan, and see if that game plan makes sense and doesn't shoot ourselves in the foot. He also discussed the possibility of opening churches for Palm Sunday and Easter Sunday services. Maybe too soon for that. Maybe too soon. We just came off of last week 3 cases of 3 large church gatherings that had 40 or more people each gathering, and each gathering individuals ended up getting infected. So maybe that's a little too soon. Maybe hold that off for a little bit. A possibility. He's not saying it's definite, so he is leaving himself an out, which Trump is absolutely perfect at doing, leaving himself an out. He words things in such a way that the media will take it him meaning something, but then if you actually take it in context and word for word and actually take what he means, it actually means something different. It could mean what the media is saying, but then it also could mean something different. I brought it up before. I said maybe we could allow special for churches. Maybe we could talk about it. Maybe we could allow them with great separation outside on Easter Sunday. I don't know. It's something we should talk about, Trump said, while allowing he'll be watching church services on a laptop the next 2 weeks. And it is something we should at least be able to talk about. If we can't talk about it, then what good are we as human beings? That's everybody, any position. If you can't talk about our problems, then what the hell? The president added on the shutdown, we cannot let this continue, and said at some point a decision will have to be made. And yeah, but what is that decision? What is that decision? What is that decision? Now, Trump kind of belays himself. Remember earlier when Trump said the cure cannot possibly be worse than the problem? Well, it is. Because, at a certain point, you'll lose more people this way through all the problems caused than you will with what we're doing right now. Now, if you take that and you switch it, and we say, what if it reinfects? Well, then the solution was worse than the problem, because then we're opening up, people are getting back to work, businesses are spending money to get back to work, and then all of a sudden, we go back on the lockdown. That wouldn't work either. No perfect answers, and I certainly, without a doubt, do not envy being Trump or any official that has to make any kind of decisions at this time. This is not an easy decision-making process. No matter which decision you make, people are going to be affected drastically. So, but what do you think? That's what this channel is about. What do you think? What is your opinion? How long do we lock down? How long are you willing to stay locked down? What damage do we do to our economy? What can we do to fix it? I mean, gosh darn, we're becoming socialist right before our very eyes. I mean, seriously. I love you guys. I'll see you on the next one.